Hey guys, Rich from Richmond Gaming. Hope everyone is doing fantastically well. Welcome to this, another Star Wars Shatterpoint video. And believe it or not, this is not the first tier list we have ever done. If you don't know what I mean, go check out the second ever video I think we did on Star Wars Shatterpoint. Joining me to break down all of the supports in the game and ranking them is, of course, Mr. Quinn Duggan. Quinn, how the hell are you doing, sir?
This isn't even the second tier list we've done, is it, Rich?
No, it's not, is it? But yeah, Quinn, supports in the game, right? At first, you may look at them and you may think, oh, you know, they're kind of, you may ignore them and things like that. I found myself now playing this game, they're the first things I go for. I try and take out a support unit before I take out anything else.
Yeah,
because guess what? There's typically
taking out
two
a
of them.
support. Yeah, taking out a support is like taking out two models, really. When you said first thing I'd take, what first thing I'd go for, I thought you meant list
Sorry,
building,
no.
and I was like,
not when I'm building. No,
not
when I'm building. No, not when I'm building. Not when I'm building a squad or a strike team. But yeah, I mean, and that's the first thing I would say about support units, Quinn. Is they are as important as the other characters in those squads, because generally, with the exception of a couple that are on here, you're going to be getting two of them, and you spend one force and both 501st troopers can defensive maneuver. You use one action to focus and they both get to focus. You do one recover and you get to do two actual recovers, right? Because they both get to do it. So they're definitely not to be overlooked. Yes, they are the thing that you put in last typically when you're building, right? You always start with your primaries, but they're an absolute integral part of the game. And we're going to go through and we're going to we've broken them down kind of into, I would call them like sub-factions, if you like. So we've put all the clones together, all the droids together.
They're not sub-factions, right? They are just factions.
Factions, yeah. And
it's not like a faction within a faction.
No, that's fair. That's fair. So, and we sort of consider factions, don't we, as being like the Galactic Republic, the Separatist battle droids.
That have a lot of synergy to them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Quinn, we're going to use the standard S to D tier. Everyone in the world loves it, apart from that one guy. You know who you are. I can't imagine you're still subscribed, because every tier list we call you out.
Well, no, he just doesn't watch the tier list.
It just doesn't watch the tier list.
I don't know why he hates Japan so much. Like, chill.
I don't know why he hates Japan.
He's never forgiven them for Pearl Harbor.
So S through D, Quinn. Let's quickly explain what each of those rankings is going to mean. S is just, look, these guys are really, really good. They've got, good synergy within their given faction, if you like, or other keywords. But also, you can actually slot these guys into other places as well, and they're going to perform really, really well. Maybe sometimes in places.
I don't think we'll see too many of those on this list, to be fair.
Thinking there might be one, maybe two.
I can think of three at most.
Category, yeah. A is going to be, do you know what? Within my chosen faction, they're going to be my go-to support unit, right? They're kind of your first choice. They're sort of the better of the ones. B tier is going to be, look, these guys are absolutely perfectly serviceable. Nothing wrong with them whatsoever. They're absolutely fine to take. C tier is going to be, look, they're fine, but there might be another better option at the same points cost, and that'll often come into it. So they only cost 3 or 4. That's what all supports cost right now, but it may just be that there is a better option. And then lastly is D tier, which is right now they're just not good enough. Maybe they've got things that cost too much. Maybe when they take a wound they just really fall off, or again they just need a little bit of something to make them that little bit better. Caveat, as always, with all of the tier list videos that we do, guys. Number one, it's our opinion.
What?
And that's it. I
No,
know.
no,
Apparently,
it's fact. It's
apparently
fact.
this is not fact. I have been
No,
told
I
this.
said so, and when I say things, that means they're fact. When you say things, it's complete nonsense. But when I
Conjecture,
say them,
yeah. So that's the first one. Number two is as we get more and more releases, as we get more units released with certain keywords, with certain tags, the stock of these characters and units can go up and down. So it's a snapshot in time based on our opinion. And thirdly, if we've played these units and they've rolled consistently bad for us, they will be penalised for it, and we will
yeah.
hold a grudge against them. If you don't believe us, go and ask Angela from MCP. So, anyway, Quinn, without further ado, let's jump over to the tier list. And let's start, Quinn, with the clones. And let's start with the first clones that we got in the game, the 501st. They've got some good things going for them. They are the only clones in the game that cost 3, which actually gives them some real value, I think, when we're isolating it down and
Yeah, I
looking at
mean,
them as...
that value is soon about to depreciate with the advent of Mace Windu's box.
They are. And maybe that's something we do take into consideration that maybe does drag them down ever so slightly. Look, they've got some okay things. Coordinated fire is really nice. You're only ever playing the 501st in a Galactic Republic squad with, and I would say with both secondary characters that support them and a primary character that supports them, right? You need that.
They need
full...
a lot of help to prop them up.
Yeah. Maybe the one exception to that rule, again, right now, is I would say playing them with Vader in the Inquisitorius list. But again, that's purely because they're the only option for Vader right now.
And also, Vader is Galactic Republic, so they're still getting a degree of that synergy, right?
They are, but they're only getting one half of the strike team, aren't they?
Yeah.
Giving them synergy. Really, where these guys want to be is in a full, 2 squads, full Galactic Republic, can benefit from multiple moves and hunkers and all that sort of good stuff. And with that in mind, Quinn, right now, even though they cost 3, even though they're a little bit unique, I don't know if you can be a little bit unique, for me, they're just a little bit lackluster and they have to go into C tier.
Yeah, there's a few things that contribute to this. First of all, compared to the other 3-cost supports in the game, they're just the worst of the 3. Compared to the other clones, obviously, they're the cheapest, and it shows. They have, all of the sort of traditional clone problems. They've got a low stamina pool. They are force intensive, especially once they get wounded. I think the big thing for the 501st is their combat stance is just really poor, even for a 3. Like, there are some good options on there, and their dice pools are decent. 5-4 defensively, 7-5 range melee, range 5 attacks, great. But it really falls down on that offensive expertise.
Yeah,
1 to 3, only getting you a single strike is really bad. I think if we'd seen that as maybe 1 to 2 is a strike, 3 is 2 strikes, and then that 4th result becomes a crit and a strike, I think these guys would go up massively, and they'd feel on par with the other 3s, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do agree, because we have to compare them to the other 3s, right? Because whilst all of these units come in their predetermined squads, you can interchange anything with anything else. And I think you do have to compare them to the other 2 now 3-cost units that we've got. And yeah, they do not have anywhere near the impact on a game that the other ones do. Still perfectly fine to play. I think if we didn't have the ARF troopers coming out, they may have just snuck into B because of the fact that right down at the bottom end, but because of the fact that they were a required character, like they were that important that you had to take them in certain squads. But knowing that the ARF troopers coming out, and I can't imagine the ARF troopers are going to be worse than the
I
501st.
I think it's going to be really funny when it turns out they've got even worse defensive expertise than all the
Yeah.
other clones.
Maybe, maybe. Cool. On to the 212th next, then, Quinn. Obviously, usually sitting alongside Obi-Wan and Clone Commander Cody. I quite like these guys. They cost 4, and they're very much more of a hold back and
They're a
sort of
sniper unit,
hold the
right?
back line sniper unit. Even though as a sniper unit, they get no more range than any other unit. Look, they've got all the cloney stuff, right? Defensive maneuver, coordinated fire, pin.
Very
Pin
good.
is a very, very underrated special condition in this game. There are so many characters in this game, whether it's through their own whether it's through their own defensive expertise, whether it's through synergy with their primaries or even their secondaries. There are so many ways that after you've pushed a character off a point that they can get back on. Slapping this pin down stops that and takes it away completely. So yeah, I really, really like these guys, Quinn. Their combat tree is, you look at it and you go, okay, it's not great, but
When they've got a bit of a helping hand, they've got a really high damage output for support models. That if they get to that 4th result miraculously, oh boy, do things pop off.
yeah, absolutely.
Defensively, they are worse than the 501st, sort of adding to that whole sniper role they want to fulfill.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I really can't wait till we get Wolfpack and there's some actual clones that want to be in melee. That
Want to
would be
get up
nice.
close and personal
Yeah.
and start doing stuff. But yeah, look, 1 damage off 1 expertise is not to be sniffed at.
Yeah.
It's basically you roll 1 expertise and you're guaranteed to do, in most situations other than protection, but to be able to do 1 damage. Even 2 to 3 giving you a crit and the damage is not bad.
A support with a crit on its expertise tree is really, really nice, just because there are certain characters that just say no to hits. Like, they're all just such a high volume of dice, or they get, like, Django, for example, he's rolling 5 dice, and on a single expertise, blocking 2. Like, I think 3 on 3, I want to say. Like, just a lot of blocks against those characters that don't have dice manipulation, like fudging crits.
It's really hard, isn't it?
It's really nice to have.
Yeah. So for me, Quinn, I think right now they are perfectly serviceable, like absolutely no problems with them whatsoever. And I think they sort of middle of the road, B tier.
I think they're probably like sort of top of B-ish.
Top end of B tier, I would say, yeah. But as a sniper unit, that's how you should be playing them, guys. Obviously, move 1 forward and get a point if that is what wins you the struggle or something like that. But you don't want to be advancing these guys too far forward. They are not they're not an ideal first activation, move up and capture the middle point kind of guys, are they?
Like, you don't mind going with them early because you want to set up those coordinated fires for the pins, but you really don't want them getting attention when they
absolutely
they're a bit shy.
They are a little bit shy, to say the least. Next up, then, Quinn, we have got the latest of the clones, the clone commandos. Look, these guys obviously cost the same as the 212th. These guys really don't mind getting a bit more up close and personal. Still not quite as much as I would like. They've got better defensive expertise. Yes, you might look at them and go, they've only got 6 health. Do not underestimate protection, especially when there is no prerequisite to that protection. You don't need a hunker. You don't need to be contesting anything. Also, Quinn, coordinated fire damage is not to be sniffed at either.
It's real good.
Yeah.
Just boosting that top end damage on like an Obi-Wan, for example. Like, there are so many units that have 10 stamina instead of 9. Like, just open up the possibility of Obi-Wan killing them is really, really impactful.
Yeah, it really is. Also, ascension cables, being able to scale off that defensive maneuver without needing an ingress point to get up a point or something like that is really, really good.
Also, climbing off of a knowledge and defense hunker removal could be really,
yeah,
really impactful.
absolutely. So the way that scale works, by the way, guys, for those that you don't know, basically when you would make a normal advance or a dash, you can ascend higher terrain as if you had made essentially as if you had made a climb. So all the same rules still apply, Quinn, don't they? So you can't use your advance tool and, make a full move. You can't climb out of combat or anything like that. But yeah, really, really good. Where I'll let you go first on this one, Quinn, because you play them a little more than me. I know in my head where I think they're going. I don't think they quite.
They're going in A. They're not S.
Yeah, they don't quite make it up to the S tier, do they?
I think
so. Yeah, but
the only time we're going to get S tier clone supports is if they do what I want, which is a fives and echo unit.
Where they're single. They're single character. They're single character
as a support unit.
Oh,
it's fives and echo together as a 5-cost support unit. I think that's what.
Okay, it's a 5 cost.
Yeah, maybe, I think
maybe.
so.
Okay, let's move on to the Battle Droid stroke Separatist Alliance faction then. B1s, Quinn. So the thing with B1s is you look at their card, you look at their tree, maybe less so their tree, but you look at, what they're, and you just look at it and go, but they're not great. When you start layering on top in your squad the other things that these guys get access to, they become very, very good indeed. Arguably, Quinn, one of the best support units in the game right now. In that particular situation.
For the cost, they are very strong.
Yeah. I think you spoke about it before, haven't you? But, a reposition of 2 successors.
Yeah.
Synergizing
really
with...
big.
Yeah, synergizing with Kraken and Kalani. Obviously more Kalani than Kraken, but, they can still do things with Kraken. And let's not underestimate, Quinn, the power of a bigger base.
Yeah.
Because everything in this game is front to back, that base size can make a huge difference.
They're a little bit faster than everyone else. They occupy a bit more space than everyone else. They can block a point better than other people. Like, they've got a lot going for them. And as you mentioned, reposition on 2, very strong. Like, towards those later stages of the game where maybe they're waking up from being wounded and becoming injured, like, just being able to go, I'm advancing twice on my turn to get to the points I need to be on. It's just really, really big.
Also, Quinn, I believe the only unit in the game right now that is not affected by having an injured token in any way, shape, or form. Because guess what, guys? They have nothing to spend power on. You look at the clones, you look at the Mandalorians, you look at the.
Well, I mean, no one has anything to spend power on, Rich.
But Force. I do apologize.
Force, yeah, plenty of people have stuff to spend Force on.
But that's one of their other key things, isn't it? Is that already in a faction that is very, very good at Force refreshing and that sort of thing, they just they cost nothing to do things, which is really, really nice. Also, if you pull them first turn, I mean, you don't want to be moving these guys first turn. I think it's a given, Quinn, right? Activation 1, you pull the battle droids, they go to the bottom of your deck 9 times out of 10.
It depends on how bad the situation is. If you pull a primary, I think if it's really bad pulling a primary, you don't do it because they do take up your 1 reserve for the turn.
They do, yeah, they absolutely do. No, but even then, I think if it's the first activation of the game, for you, then I think they go to the bottom. But yeah, where are these guys sitting, Quinn?
They're not an S tier. They are very good. They are not an S tier. I think they occupy a similar space to the commandos. But I think they're bumped down by the fact that the other options in their sort of faction are better, even though they are very good.
Yeah, I do
I
agree.
think they're like a low A in my view.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree completely. Let's then take a look at the MagnaGuard Quinn. Obviously coming alongside Jango Fett and Count Dooku in the Twice the Pride box. Only support unit in the game, I believe. Actually, no. Does the fifth and do the brothers and sisters have ranged attacks?
They don't.
They've got. They don't. Yeah. So there's.
Even though they do have their little lightsabers they can throw, they don't have them.
They don't. Yeah, they don't have the ability to do it, do they? But no range attacks, and you might look at them at first and be like, oh, well, no range attacks. Are they going to be any good? These guys are real good.
They are phenomenal.
Really, really good. Let's break down what it is they do and why they're so good. First of all, 10 stamina for a support unit. That is really, really good. I
think it's the highest in the game at the moment.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe fifth brother has 10.
He's 9 but has protection.
9 with protection. I'd argue it's slightly better, but even
it's
so,
better. But the raw number is lower.
No, absolutely. First one, Quinn. Protection protocols. Your primary moves. Your primary makes a move action. You get a full advance towards them.
Yeah.
Like that.
This can be good during all stages of the game.
Yeah. Now it does lose some value once they are injured, because it's a reactive ability. It does end up costing 1 more. Sorry, it does end up costing 1 because it's 0 cost at first. But even then, if I need it, they're moving. I'll happily spend a force on a move. Only one of them can do it, so it's only one of the characters. So that is important to note. But it's just so good. And don't be put off by the word towards. Towards is a 90-degree angle.
Yeah, you can get to it's really not limiting your options that much. These guys can be really pivotal in those later struggles, where potentially you're pulling a primary, you're going with them, they're going to move anyway. Maybe you skew their move to be maybe back a little bit to help you get an angle, and suddenly these guys are walking onto one of your back points that you didn't have anyone controlling at the start of that activation. It can be so valuable. Just any sort of out of activation movement on pretty much anyone, especially these guys who are absolute melee monsters.
Oh my word. Let's take a look at defensive programs, Quinn, because 5s across the board for defense. Only 6 attack dice, right? You think, that's fine. 1 expertise is 1 crit. 2 expertise and 3 expertise are 2. And 4 is 3.
It's so good.
It is brutal. And then really, the really good thing about these guys is 2 results. 3 damage. You don't care about the damage with MagnaGuard. You're not there to deal damage. 2 shoves. Yeah. 2 shoves is not guaranteed because there may be characters with steadfast and things like that. But in most situations, is going to get that character off the point that they are holding. Yes, if they're stood right over it and they have steadfast, you might not be able to. But with the elevation and everything else in this game, it can often push them off the side of a piece of terrain and that sort of thing. And then, Quinn, to add to that protection protocols, you get 3 results. You get a full reposition as well. These guys, they get around a bit, don't they? They do a lot of work. Bodyguard and Intercede, Quinn. Obviously, this is kind of the fact that they are effectively that, aren't they? They are the bodyguards of.
They're there to protect the higher ups. They're crowd control.
They are, yeah. So all primary and secondary characters within 2 get cover 1, irrespective of whether they're seps or not, Quinn, which I do like that. And then lastly, Intercede. This has caught me out, Quinn, more times than I would care to admit, where you move your big hitter up, Dooku's left on
Oh,
3 health.
you mean you walked your Savage up to go hit Grievous?
Yeah, you've got an exposed token on him, and you forget that you've just put yourself engaged with the MagnaGuard, which means you cannot attack primary or secondary characters if you are engaged with a non-wounded MagnaGuard. And especially now, Quinn, where we've got some force user secondaries, like your Savages, who is very much a glass cannon. I think these guys are going to get better and better and better, and you're going to see them being taken with a lot of these, not just primaries, but I think more so secondary units, because they don't want to get hit, and they rarely have dice manipulation, whereas your primaries, somewhat do.
Yeah, I think like even being a very early release, they are wave one. I think come back to this game in a year's time, I don't think they'll have fallen off the map too hard.
No, agree, completely agree. Where do they sit?
They are S tier. They are they are so good that you would take them in lists that don't have Scepter synergy.
I agree. I completely agree. And for me, the reason for that is the bodyguard, right?
Yeah.
That is absolutely awesome. Sorry, the bodyguard and the intercede. I'm including them together.
Yeah, I mean, also just the shoves are so valuable. They're absolutely incredible units.
Really, really good units. Rounding out the droid seps, then, Quinn, we have got the B2 battle droids, the newest of the units, also costing 4. Not bringing any force.
Costing 4.
Costing 4 even, not also costing 4. So the most expensive of them, and it is a little bit difficult right now at the moment to fit B2s in where you want to fit them in. And the reason why is, if you are taking droids, you really want to take Kalani, right? Yeah. It's very rare you want to just rely on Kraken and not Kalani. That extra 1 dice on attacks is just immense.
It adds up so much over the course of the game.
Oh, gotcha. I mean, look, it's at least, obviously not every turn, but 4 extra dice per order deck refresh, not including himself and other things like that. But because these guys cost 4, and because Kalani is 5, and because Dooku is 7, there's only a sort of niche scenario at the moment, isn't there, where the B2s kind of fit and where you can take them.
Yeah, you have to play a different kind of separatist list in order to run these guys, and that list is built around these guys. Yeah. With the whole saturation fire mechanic and just getting as many attacks off with these guys as you possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned that saturation fire when you're targeting an enemy character that is contesting. I love how it says 1 or more, like your base can be.
Well, when the Rancor comes out with his 70mm base.
There we go. Or new maps and things like that. So it's all about future-proofing. But for 1 power, add 2 dice to the roll. It's so good. It's just really, really good. Relentless Advance is quite nice as well. It's a thing. And then once again, Quinn, they've got that enhanced blast armor, which gives them protection without any prerequisites. So, an 8 stamina is not a bad health pool for a support character either. But suppression protocol, their combat tree. There is a lot of damage on here, Quinn, isn't there? What they can do. So, I mean, look, they're maxing out at something like, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 damage from a support unit is utterly brutal.
Pretty damn good.
The thing I really like about this, Quinn, and we mentioned it about the 212, a single expertise giving you that 1 damage is really, really nice. Thoughts on B2s, Quinn, because they are in a bit of a weird space, aren't they? But I still think they're really good.
I do really like them. I really like them in that role of just sort of chipping away with all of those, coordinated network? Is that what it's called?
Tactical network.
Tactical network. I'm mixing up tactical network and coordinated fire there.
There you go.
Yeah, Like, Tactical Network, just being able to chip away and go, on average, 6 dice to Zaklani, probably rolling 2 expertise, so I'm just guaranteed some damage here. Like, just wearing away, like, sort of that relentless advance. I mean, I know they have an ability called Relentless Advance, but, just sort of chipping away at people, when they do go down, it is rough because paying 2 for Saturation Fire is really harsh.
Yeah.
But, there are still situations where it's worth it. Like, just, they really get some work done if you're willing to put the, time and effort into them.
Yeah. So for me, Quinn, they're good. Like, do they outshine the B1s purely situational wise at the moment? Because they are that bit harder to take.
I think they are better than the B1s. I think it's their situational nature that keeps them below the commandos.
Yeah,
just because
they're not S tier, right?
They're not S tier.
They're not the MagnaGuard.
The fact that they disable you taking some forms of the Separatist list in order to include them, I think it is harsh, but still you are getting more than your money's worth from them, right? When you are gonna take them on the table.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to the Mandalorians then, Quinn. Starting off with the clan Kryze Mandalorians. So they're going to cost 4. So they're going to be 4 point cost. And it's weird, isn't it, how with the core box, the only real full synergy for a strike team was actually the Mandalorians.
Yeah.
They were the only ones that had 2 supports and 2 secondaries, and yet no leader. And I think that lack of leader at the moment is really dragging the Mandalorians down a little bit. They are heavily reliant on having at least Bo-Katan in your squad. And realistically, are you ever taking Clan Kryze without Bo-Katan? Or Gar Saxon? I think you could. I think they can work with Gar Saxon as well.
Yeah.
I would argue no. But they've got some pretty good stuff. Mandalorian's kind of thing right now, Quinn. I don't know if you agree or not, but for me, it's very much all around action economy. Right? They do one thing, or they use one action, and it triggers a whole bunch of other things that it is that they get to do. Obviously, the main one being where they make a move action, or they take a move action of any sort, but it has to be an action. Sorry to clarify. So jetpack won't trigger this, but they make a move action, and as long as they finish within range 2 of any other allied Mandalorian, they get to make a free focus. Like, being able to move, focus for free, and then attack is really, really good, especially, Quinn, when you've got yourself a cheeky little helmet visor, and it's going to give you sharpshooter 1 as well.
They've got funny little hats.
They do have.
I do like a little hat on my character.
You have been known to like a funny little hat, haven't you? Yeah. So yeah, look, I think these guys are perfectly serviceable in a Mandalorian list. I don't think you're going to see them outside. No, I don't think they're going to see them outside. So for me, they struggle again. 7-2 or 7 isn't great. Kind of gets better when Bo's around, because obviously of what she does. For me, Quinn, perfectly fine, perfectly serviceable. I would put them under the 212.
Yeah.
Right now. But I think their stock could rise significantly higher when there are other Mandalorians on the board who you can trigger. Pardon? Pre-Vizsla. Yeah, Pre-Vizsla. I mean, we know Din Djarin's coming, right? We know Din's coming.
Oh, forget Din. We want the best.
Will Grogu have the Mandalorian tag?
Well, Grogu's part of the model, so it's one character.
Oh, it's a single character, isn't it? Yeah, good point. But yeah, so for me, Quinn, they're not quite as good as the 212.
Not quite, no. I think that coordinated fire is probably the distinguishing factor there.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to then the other half of the Mandalorians. I always get this the wrong way around. It is the Mandalorian Super Commandos, not the Super Mandalorian Commandos. Boop. Quinn, you know, I played none of these. I played no Mandalorians when the game first came out. I had a couple of games, but just didn't like them. I am growing to absolutely love these guys, to the point where they went up, they came up the painting table ladder for me, and other things got pushed down, because I really like these guys. They're going to cost 4, so they're the same cost as the Clan Kryze, but whereas the Clan Kryze are very much focused on sharpshooting, you know, they've got the sharpshooter keyword. These guys are up close and personal. They want to get in range, they want to punch you, and if you try and walk away, they're going to punish you for it, aren't they, Quinn?
Yeah, it's kind of funny how much better than the Clan Kryze these guys are. They've got more rules and more health. Like,
Yeah.
pretty big.
And all of the benefits that the Clan Kryze have as well, right?
Yeah, like, oh, they're not as good at shooting. Great. Like, by your second struggle there, like, by your second order deck, you're all in melee.
Nobody cares about shooting with these guys. I mean, they're okay at shooting, but I mean, look, if we look at disruptive tactics, they've got a lot on there. You know, the only thing I would say is that you really want to be taking the character out that you're attacking with this one. You know, whereas the MagnaGuard down the very front end of their tree, they've got all of that control. Less so with these guys, obviously. You need to be getting, I think, 4 and 5 results to get those shoves. But 3 results with the jump is not to be sniffed at, and with that impact that they have, and again that focus from Mandalorians stronger together, is often achievable. But yeah, for me, it's the penalty they put on whether they are wounded or not. If you disengage with them using a advance or using a dash, you are going to pay for it, which I really like. I see these guys being taken in lists that are not Mandalorian specific. Yes, you probably want either Bo-Katan or Gar with them, because there's some other value there as the secondary, because Django's not a secondary. But
he's a secondary. He's just not a Mandalorian.
Sorry, he's not a Mandalorian.
So.
But they don't rely on the rest of the board, do they? Being Mandalorians.
They are very much like self-contained. They go off. They do their own thing. They don't mind a bit of synergy from like the rest of the strike team. For example, they are ludicrously good with Vader.
Oh God, yeah.
11 dice melee is gross.
Yeah. I can't wait to see some Shadow Collective keyword is one that I am very much looking forward to. Maybe some Black Sun, maybe some pikes, and really looking forward to seeing, again, there's some keywords on there that nobody else has, right? And have no impact on the game right now. So we know that they're going to be something in the future. Quinn, are they good enough to make it to the top tier?
It's really difficult to say because they are very, very strong. But you've got to remember that they are a 4. Like, comparative to MagnaGuard, they ain't cutting it. I think they are very top of A.
They are a 4, and I would also add to that wounding these guys really, really hurts them. Paying
because
2
they have to
for
pay,
jetpack.
Paying for the focus.
And Mandalorians are stronger together. Really, really hurts them. So I agree. I think they go above the Clone Commandos. I think they're at the top end of A. But I just think that if Mandalorians are stronger together was innate, I think they might be S tier, but I think they just miss out because of it, Quinn.
As much as I would like the free focus to be innate, I really want it to be innate when I'm playing Mandalorians. I'm really happy it's not when I'm not playing Mandalorians.
Yeah, I really don't want it anywhere else. Quinn, the first of our single character supporting units. It is,
and it's the best one.
The fifth brother, arguably, is the best one. Yeah. So fifth brother, what's unique about these guys? Well, as we mentioned, they are both him and the sister are individual support units. So whereas with every other support unit in the game right now, you get 2 bases to bring along, so 2 characters in the unit. He is an individual character in and himself, but he's got a couple of tricks, Quinn, hasn't he, to mitigate how much of an impact that is on the game when it comes to scoring points. Look, he's got some decent active abilities. You know, force jump is really nice. Enfeeble is not to be sniffed at.
Really strong. It's a lower range than coordinated fire, but
doesn't matter.
Exposed.
This guy's up close and personal anyway, isn't he?
Yeah.
Resolve is really good. He's already 9 stamina. But when he's contesting, he's going to get protection and steadfast, making him that much harder to kill, making him that much harder to push off a point. But Quim, the big thing with this guy is inquisitorial mandate. If there would be a tie when you are scoring at the end of a player's turn, he breaks it. So what does that mean? Well, it means a couple of different scenarios. If he has walked up to a point where there are 2 characters from 2 separate units contesting a point, and he wounds one of them, for every other character, or nearly every other character in the game, you would not be able to flip that point. He breaks that tie.
Yeah.
He also is the only character that is taken, or one of only 2 characters taken into consideration when they are not at the same elevation as the objective that you are trying to contest. Which
I don't like it. I don't like it.
It is a thing. There's some crazy things when there's 2 of these on the board.
Now that I've thought about it, I really hated this ruling when I was first told about it, but actually it now makes sense that I've sort of contextualized it. But if you've got two opposing inquisitors with inquisitorial mandate, because of the active player rules, the active player, so the one that would be scoring for the round, does their inquisitorial mandate to break the tie first. Then the opposing inquisitor from the non-active player uses inquisitorial mandate to break the tie back in their favour. Therefore, nobody scores the point because obviously the inactive player isn't scoring at that point.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important thing to make that make sense, is that it means that no one scores that point, rather than it being, I was second, therefore I get this.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite work the same way.
Do you know what, Quinn? I hadn't run through that ruling in my head in the way that you've just said. And now when you remember only you score, it makes perfect sense.
Now
because
it's fine.
It is a tie. So therefore...
Yeah, it means that in effect, unless something changes, that objective is neutral.
Yeah.
Because then, the next turn, you go through the whole checking process again, and because the other player is active now, it goes to the player that initially went, and therefore no one scores it again, unless something else has changed regarding that objective.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, obviously, if you are the player that already controls that point, and that scenario happens, and it's the end of your turn, you would still score because you still retain it, right? It doesn't flip. I think that's right, Quinn. Yeah.
No, you would So, for example, you've got your objective.
Oh no, you would lose it.
You would lose it.
Yes,
yeah.
The controlling player would lose. Yeah, absolutely right. Okay. With all that said and done, Quinn, where does he sit?
He's Esther.
Is he?
He's not as good as MagnaGuard.
I don't
but
think so.
But he's very strong. Enfeeble giving access to expose before you hit someone for Inquisitorious characters is very strong. He's also very durable, and with his force repulse, which he can get for 4 results off his combat tree, he is very, very good at objective manipulation.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's really his thing, isn't it? Like, it's all around. Again, he's another character that can impact multiple points within a single turn, which is real good. How do you think his sister stacks up, Quinn?
Does she actually ever do anything in the show? Is she just sort
I'm
of
not
there?
sure.
I don't think I've
Yeah.
ever seen her use a lightsaber, to be honest.
Yeah, I can't
Or
remember.
even use the Force. Like, I don't think I've heard her speak. Yeah, Fourth Sister is very much, she is the lesser sibling of Fourth and Fifth. She's got some good things going for her. Force Pull is more affordable than Force Repulse on Fifth Brother. But like, there are a number of things that really just don't help her out. Enfeeble Pin is straight up worse than Enfeeble Exposed. Swift Retreat is one of the most useless abilities I've seen on a character in this game.
It is utterly, utterly, utterly useless.
I'm dead. I'm going to run away now. Woo.
Let me maybe there is a niche.
There'll be
scenario.
something where it's useful, but it feels like if I have survived being attacked and am not wounded, I've run away. That would have been so much better. It would have been like a weird reverse. What is it? What's the thing that Ventress has?
Slip away.
Slip away. It'd be like reverse slip away, and that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that. She is less durable than Fifth Brother. She's got one less stamina. Doesn't have access to Protection or Steadfast. She is better defensively against ranged attacks, but worse against melee attacks. And as we mentioned with the Clan Kryze and the Super Commandos, you'd rather be more melee sort of slanted in terms of your defensive stats. She falls flat. She falls at every hurdle that the Fifth Brother jumps over. Like, she's just not as good.
I agree. I was really disappointed when they didn't do one support was 4, one support was 3. I think that was a really missed opportunity. And it feels like her card is maybe a swift retreat and 1 stamina from being a 3 cost.
Yeah. Like, maybe you bump down a ranged dice by 1. I mean, I do find it weird how they're both better defensively than Reaver, but we'll get onto her in the next video.
We'll get onto her in a different video.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, she's shit. Yeah, look, I agree. I think she is the lesser of the two. Do I think she's unplayable? I don't think so at all.
No.
I do think Force Pull on a support character is not to be sniffed at, and the fact it does only cost 1, yes, it doesn't affect as many people, but in that scenario where she walks up and can take somebody off, guarantee yourself to be able to score that point, is really, really good. Things that are guaranteed in a game are usually good, Quinn, right? Rolling dice and relying on them is okay. You can, odds can be in your favour depending on the number of dice you roll and what you need, but I spend a thing and I guarantee to do a thing is usually better than I'm going to roll some dice and hope for the best. So I do think it is less. Oh god, it's a hell of a lot less fun. So I do think Force Pull kind of keeps her out of that D tier. For me, she is in C tier.
I think she's genuinely worse than 501st.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. I would absolutely agree with that.
It's really interesting, like, the juxtaposition between her and Fifth Brother. Like, how just a few little tweaks can make up such a big fall from grace.
Huge. Yeah, absolutely huge. Absolutely huge. Rounding it out then,
I'm going to have to, fight you on this one, aren't I?
Rounding it out, Quinn.
Keep you in check.
I am not saying these guys are the best support unit in the game.
Good, because they're not.
What I am saying is they are by far my favourite support unit in this game. Nightsister acolytes, Quinn, costing 4, They've got a whole bunch of stuff on their card. Acrobatic advance, 1 force. You both get to jump, and you get a hunker token. Like, that's pretty good action economy, and that hunker token is really important. We broke these down in the in the last episode of the Wonga. But the fact that they can roll 9 dice each is pretty darn good in attacks. Yeah. And
I think the biggest thing is that coordinated fire on them.
Exposed.
Huge.
Coordinated fire exposed. I think you're sleeping on these a little bit, Quinn. I really do.
I don't think I'm sleeping on them. I just don't think I really want to play Dathomirians, and they are made of paper.
Oh, 100. Well, you say that. Against ranged attacks, they're rolling 8 dice potentially.
Yeah, no, I don't care. I'll roll crits and you'll die.
Yeah, the defensive expertise is shocking, as you can see.
But for good reason. If it was any better than it was with 8 dice from a hunker, ludicrous.
It would be crazy. Absolutely crazy. I'm going to say where I think they go, and then you can tell me why you think I'm wrong. But I think they go just above the B2s.
No. I will allow
A is for acrobatic advance.
I will grant you the rank of A tier, but I will not grant you a seat beyond the B2s. You can be behind the B1s.
Behind the B1s. Okay.
The reasons why are, 1, they don't have enough synergy with other things in the game at the moment for them to go above that. B1s have so much synergy across a number of different squads, whereas at the moment, they've got the squad they come in and then 2 other primaries that they synergize with. And whilst that's good, Maul gives out exposed on his own anyway, as does Savage. Yes, this is a cheaper way to do it, but, you know, you're not giving them access to something.
Savage does. Yeah, Savage
he does.
Yeah.
Their damage output is pretty lackluster. Like, yes, they can roll 8 dice up to 9 if they focus because of the whole Dathomirian Night Hunter ability. That's cool, but just
it's still 7 dice though. It's still 7 damage.
7 damage isn't bad. It's just, you know, these guys do cost 4, and I think when you contrast them against the other 4 costs, yes, they're better than Clan Kryze. I don't really think they surmount the other 4s that we have. I mean, they're better than Fourth Sister, but she doesn't count.
No, I am absolutely fine with where they are, right? Again, and I think they could go up in value when we get more characters and things like that. Because
I mean, if you get more Dathomirians,
I think we'll get some. I think we'll get some brothers, right?
Hopefully, we get Merrin. I'd really like
Merrin, some Night Brothers. You know, I feel like the Night Brothers could be the melee in the way that the Mandalorian super commandos are, whereas the Nightsisters are the ranged. In the really interesting there, isn't it? Is that the top 3 are all melee-focused characters. And that tells you what you need to know about this game, right?
I feel like that's mostly because most of the primaries and secondaries we have in the game have a melee focus to them.
Yeah.
Especially the primaries, because we've got so many saber users. They're all very focused on getting in close combat. The only one that isn't really is Talzin. And, you know, she's only going to come up every so often. Like, everyone else
me, it'll be every game.
Look, it's Rich with his one-trick pony. Got Ghost Rider, anyone?
All right, Aniobe.
Well, I play all sorts of things. They all just involve Obi-Wan.
I play all sorts of clones.
I do play all sorts of clones. They're all different. They have different hairstyles. Look at them.
That is true. But yeah, look, guys, I mean, what I would say, Quinn, is after what we said there, 10 packs released, right? Sorry, 10 squads released. The fact that there isn't a single D tier, unplayable support unit in this game, I think is good. Like,
I mean, fourth sister is cutting it very close.
she's real close.
The moment
That-
they bring out purge troopers, she's D tier.
Depends how much they cost. But yeah, there we go, guys. That is going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. We always enjoy doing these, Quinn, don't we? And it's often less about where they rank and just having a conversation about how you play with them and the play styles with them, what they're good at, what they're
And
bad
then
at.
eventually, having an argument about it at the end. That's always my favourite bit.
I mean, there wasn't too many there. There was only.
I did have to rein you in on those bloody Nightsisters.
I mean, to be fair, I wanted to move them up 2 spaces to here.
I feel like you were being conservative. I feel like in your heart of hearts you wanted them
go there. No, they're not. They're not. But yeah, no. I mean, look. It is really interesting that, as I said, the melee is the focus. The ones that struggle with power and everything else kind of fall down a little bit. But yeah, look, like I said, do not underestimate support units, guys. They're a key, integral part to this game. I hope you've enjoyed. The video. I hope you've been enjoying the content that we've been putting out there at the moment. We are going to be doing 2 more of these. You can probably imagine. So in the next video, we'll take a look at the secondaries, and then in the last video, we'll take a look at the primary characters as well. But as always, guys, if you could do the like thing. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. I want to give a big shout out to Leodis Games as well for sponsoring the channel. Also a big shout out to all of the Patreons. They really, really do help us continue to be able to make this content. And if you do want to support us on Patreon, you can do so for as little as £1 a month. There'll be a link down in the description below.
Where was my shout out, Rich?
Pardon? And a thank you to my collaborator, Quinn, who is often collaborating with me.
That stings. That stings.
But yeah, guys, as always, it leaves me just enough time to say stay well, keep safe, and until next time, may the Force be with you.